this Chat GPT situation, well, how will it affect Microsoft and Apple stock specifically, being that at Microsoft is the $30 a month subscription, and Apple is announcing they're coming out with their own. So how will it impact their stock?
To the moon. Even if they only get 4 million people, which they'll probably get more, that's 120 million per month, not factoring in churn. Microsoft and Apple are just finding more ways to be more dominant. And unlike the 1990s and early 2000s, they're finding a way to do so at scale and give people what they want. A conversation that we had earlier, about the people have to vote you. And unanimously, Apple has been voted as the most favorite tech company. And Microsoft is finding a way to be more beloved amongst enterprise. The stock is going to keep getting better. Like everything that like Apple and Microsoft are like LeBron in this regards. Like it took all the criticism and adapted his game to that. At one point, LeBron can't shoot the three well. He's not being physical enough in the post. He always looks to make the right play and not be aggressive. He took all that criticism and became better. Apple's done the same thing. They could have just leaned on the iPhone sales and iPad sales forever. They did not. They're constantly finding ways to innovate. As soon as Meta decided to go be a metaverse company, Apple said, okay, let me make some hardware for that sector. They're still working on a wallet and the blockchain stuff. They've just been quiet about that. And then all of a sudden, here comes AI. And then they adjust and put a team on there to make one of the better large language models there. Like the biggest companies there's a reason why they're number one and number two. And I know everyone once a month, like not everyone, frequently people ask me, hey, what's the new Apple and Microsoft? Apple and Microsoft. Because if you get big enough to get hot enough, they're going to buy you out. This is how business is done. And when 50 was the hottest thing on earth, Jimmy and Dre and M all got together and say, hey, let's all go in on this deal.
Yeah, let's just talk about the profits real quick, Ian. So, I mean, if we talk even at a 5%, right? So if we go with that number of 400 million users on Office 365, you take that number, right? You get 5% of the people, you're at 20 million. 20 million times $30 a month, you got $600 million a month. $600 million a month for a product that you already have, from a product that people are used to and are very familiar with and have loyalty to, right? I mean, people use that. I don't know how many people use Pages in enterprises. I don't know, but I know people use Microsoft Office, right?
Yeah.
At 10%, if they have 10% of those subscribers come back and say, all right, we're going to get the subscription. Now you're doing 1.2 to 1.3 billion a month just on that, just on Microsoft Office. That doesn't even account anybody that decides that, hey, we want to now add this to our economy, and we want to put this and implement this into our business. That's just existing customers.
Yeah.
So what do we think about the stock? It looks the rise of Microsoft is going to continue, and it looks promising for the future.
I mean, Satya has done so well that since he's been there in tenure, he's personally made $1 billion. You know how much value you have to drive for a company for you to collect $1 billion over like an 8-year period? Like we keep having these conversations about lists. We need to have a conversation about top 5 CEOs of this decade. That's way more important than if you think Lil Uzi's "I Wanna Rock" single was rapper. Like that shit does not matter. Like these companies are controlling the world, and if we're not involved in them and don't invest in them, we're going to be left behind. Like I know you guys saw that video where that guy worked at a factory for 30 years and just lost his pension. I hate to say it. This is not going to be the only company. I keep screaming it, and no one wants to talk about it. Chicago's pension fund is almost bankrupt, and no one's saying a word. Chicago will be there in October. Hopefully, we can have a solution for you by then. Things are getting serious. Inflation is getting high. Like when I saw Spotify and Netflix adjust their pricing model, I'm like, inflation is really hitting, because this is the fastest that I've seen them make a change in terms of their pricing, and more companies are doing it. We have to be very careful. Like once again, the average car payment is now like $702 to $790. A lot of people say that's too much. No, that's for a Normal car. This isn't for a G-Wagon or a Bentayga. This is for like a normal car. Inflation is kicking the world's ass, and we mismatch. But also, too, when you have no inflation, when you have 0% interest rates for 14, 15 years, what do you think is going to happen? If you are not investing for the long term, it's going to be the biggest mistake of your life. But thank you guys for being here. And if I've made you money, please put yes in chat.
There it is. There it is. Do you think at some point in the next 3 to 5 years, with this technology, being that Apple is going to enter the the GPT race, Microsoft is already here in the lead. Does Microsoft pass Apple as the #1 company in terms of market cap? Right now, Apple's at over 3 trillion. Microsoft's at 2.6. Do you see it happen in the next 3 to 5 years?
Possibly. If Apple has a couple slips and if this VR project doesn't go as well, the one thing they want to address is that the iPhone market is slowing down dramatically. I do think, and shout out to all my Samsung people, I'll give you guys credit. Apple needs to innovate a hell of a lot faster. Like, I know they buy the screens from Samsung, but like by the time iPhone 17 comes out, it's going to be the same phone as like the 14 Pro Max. I want to see some innovation outside of the camera. I think that's amazing. I think the software is amazing, but like in terms of the phone, we haven't seen much differentiation. Like my guy Drew, like he'll get every new Samsung phone. I'm like, wait, you can put your phone on top of a phone and charge it? I can't do that. Like there's so many innovations I think that we take for granted that are not being used on Apple side. And I think if they were a lot more innovative and not being comfortable there, they could see the sales increase. But we're getting a very interesting race. Like I think Microsoft has the B2B enterprise side on lock. Apple has the consumer side on lock. But if Microsoft is able to get a crossover consumer hit, it could put them in the lead. But that's why I've always said invest in the top two.
Yeah, it makes it interesting because we just talked about this last week, and we talked about innovation and what's the new product. Tim Cook, the way it looks, is like the new product is new territory. Let's go to India.
That's India.
That's the new product. And then I saw reports now that Amazon has decided that they're going to spend $15 billion in India. And so rather than saying like, all right, we have to come up with a new product, let's get new customers in new territories. Another strategy.
I mean, I also found it ironic on the political side that there's no money to build up the black middle class, and we sell money to Ukraine to build up India's middle class and China's, but there's no money for black and brown people. Tune into the episode of High Level Conversations with 19 Keys, where some solutions are posed. You understand me? I don't understand how the money out there. Like for those of you like, yo, you just pro Apple and poor Microsoft. I'm like, I'm here to make y'all money. I'll see the other side of the game too, though. How are all these billions able to be funneled to, like, we literally built India's middle class and China's, and then they became our competition. And now we're going to move some of our most prized companies there.